Hey everybody, welcome to Holy Week. I'm so glad you're tuning in to these devotions. Why don't you grab your Bible, grab a pen and some paper, and if you got your Bible, go to Colossians chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 15. We're kicking off the week talking about the heart of Jesus, because I know it's in my heart, it's in your heart. You want to have a heart that's just like Jesus. You want your family to have the heart of God too. What makes up the heart of Jesus? The heart of Jesus can be described in the things that he cared about, and also the things that he could care less about. Jesus didn't care about everything equally. There's some things he cared big time, some things that he didn't. The reason that Jesus came to earth, Paul said it best in Colossians chapter 1. Verse 15, he says, Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. This is what he's saying, is that Jesus has given us he is a visible explanation of what God is really like. Because before Jesus, a lot of misconceptions about God kind of creeped into society. Some people would think, well, he's kind of like a deadbeat dad, or maybe he's just a billion miles away. He's unconcerned about what's going down on earth, or maybe he's just he's a judge. He's like a cosmic cop. That's who he is. And then Jesus came to blow up those misconceptions by the way that he taught and by the way that he loved other people. And he said he's the visible image of the invisible God. One day in John 14, one of the most emotional exchanges between Jesus and his disciples, Philip raised kind of a prayer request up to Jesus. And I think he'd probably been holding on to this for a while, for the right time. And Philip asked this important question. He said, would you show us the Father? Would you show us what he is like? And Jesus turned to Philip and he said, if you have seen me, you've seen the Father. If you want to know what God is exactly like, just look at me. And Jesus was a great picture of that. He showed us that he cared for people who were important. He cared for people who didn't have any potential left in life. He cared for people that were rulers. He cared for a man with a withered hand. He cared for people that were despised, people that were caught in adultery. He cared for people who had religious attitudes. And he was like, if you could just make a shift to relationship, it'd be great. That's why Jesus, he showed us what he cared about. And he told stories to describe the love of the Father, that he sits and he looks for his prodigal children and he runs out to meet them. He showed us that and how he taught and how he loved and how he lived his life. But he also showed us there are things that he didn't care about as well. So when I look about the heart of Jesus, I go, I want to care about the things he cares about. But this is what I've learned about me personally. There are things that I care about that God cares less about. And you look at the life of Jesus, he didn't care about storms. He was going through, he'd go take a nap in a storm. I love it. He didn't care about criticism. If Jesus had a Facebook account, there would never be a pity party. He'd never lob nuclear weapons at people because he didn't care about criticism. He didn't care too much about politics. And I would tell you, during this time that we've kind of been sheltering and staying home and social distancing, you know what it has done? It has made me recenter my life. Like, there are a lot of things that I just had too much exposure to in my life, like sports and entertainment. And now all of those things that I cared about have been wiped away. And Brooke told me this morning. She said, it's a sobering thing to think that we have no excuses to be close to God now. Like, we have all the time to order our day around the one that we love. And that's what I want you to do during this time, is just to take this time to recenter your life. And I used to think of it like this, that my life was like a pie. And when I'd get convicted about my life, I would just go, okay, God needs a bigger slice of the pie. So I would look at my life in pie slices, like here's my work life, and here's my hobbies, and here's times with my friends, and here's times with my kids and my spouse, and here's my time with God. And when I get convicted, I'd be like, he just needs a bigger slice. But that's not true. God doesn't want to be a bigger slice. He wants to be the pie filling. He wants to be the center of what's going on with your career and what's going on in your marriage and your hobbies and your friends, all these different things that when you look at it, you go, in all of these different areas of my life, he's the center of it. And he is number one in those areas. So while you're doing this devotion today, I want to encourage you, have a heart like Jesus. Care for the things he cared about. Care for people. Care for what they're going through. And then don't care about the things that he doesn't care about either. We love you. We're praying for you. Have an amazing Holy Week this week.